a good accent. I'm so proud of it.
I'm gonna send this to all your friends, which is one because you don't.
You don't want to talk, Jillian.
I'm gonna
We're
send
moving
it to all
on.
your friends so you get made fun of.
Let's get this party started. Welcome back to Wait What?
Wait, what?
Okay. Today we have a treat because you're welcome.
You get the broken one.
Last week I said that I wanted a party when I came out, and there was
I have
no
a party hat over there.
No.
You're a nerd.
So they bought macarons.
And these are special ones. They're from Sucre at Bountiful Farmers Market. So
Oh my goodness.
these are
And they have a little rainbow belt on it.
The rainbow's not in the right order.
I don't know if you can see that. See, it's like a cloud.
These are so cute. I might just start crying.
You start crying by someone
So,
says your name.
Everyone gets one.
I just want the rainbow belt.
And then we can eat and talk.
Oh,
That's a
rainbow
great idea.
belts.
Okay, Jillian, go ahead.
This is where we take common beliefs, sayings, or actions, deconstruct them, and have conversations sharing our opinions and experiences about how they have affected us. Our goal is to start and extend conversations.
Yeah.
I'm Rochelle.
I'm Kaeli.
I'm Erika.
I'm Jillian.
All right. And today, we didn't figure out the title. So it's what about...
Something.
We'll figure it out after.
Yeah. Basically, it's like, this week it is, what about the week after coming out?
Ooh.
Yeah, so last
Yes.
week we posted the podcast where Kaeli and I came out and
Oh
we
my
talked
gosh.
about the story of how we got here. And then, you know, obviously this week, since posting that, a lot of people found out. You know, a lot of stuff happened. We got a lot of messages, whatever. And so we were thinking this week, this episode would be sort of like a, what happened this week? What was it like, you know, the week after?
Yeah.
Most people in our lives found out.
So we have broken it down into talking about sort of like your guys, the expectations that you had going into the, like, after releasing the news to the world kind of thing.
Oh man, oh man.
The reality of what that actually was. And then just your thoughts on it and just kind of surrounding all that. We have at least 3 other episodes already planned because of just keeps coming up. As of right now, and it could always change, but as of right now, we are going to be doing a whole episode on the responses that we got and sort of breaking those down and the thoughts of those. You know, thankfully we received probably about 10 times the positive responses to the negative. However, you know, like they all affect. And so that's kind of our plan for next week is to talk about all those responses and then just sort of breaking those down and thoughts on that. And then we also, from the start, which was actually originally going to be this one podcast episode.
One podcast episode last week.
But, you know, now obviously it's all changed. But we do want to do, so I think the next one after that then would be the end of June, would be specifically from a religious standpoint and just doing like a whole episode specifically breaking down the religious side of this and its impact and just the things that are said and just from there. And then we also are, won't be for a few weeks, but we're also going to do one from the parent point of view, from my point of view, just kind of as like working through it all, kind of before, during, after, like all of this and, you know, kind of responses and reality, all of that the same too. Yeah. So, but today we really want to get into it. And so we really want to start with the expectations. So going into, before releasing it last week, there was a lot of emotions really, right? For you guys, like it, you know, there was excitement and some fear and some, you know, again, like we come from out of a very religious background. I mean, my entire life, your guys' entire lives, everything. And so that really is like where we come from, sort of our whole view through this. So
Yeah.
so what were some of the expectations that you guys had going into like releasing last week and just kind of into that?
I think the thing with this was that we learned was you will never be prepared.
Yeah.
You'll never be prepared, and you will never know what the response is going to be, because there were a lot of people that really surprised me,
Yeah.
like for good or for bad. I think that was the biggest thing that I realized was like, I feel like you can't really prepare. I think the only thing you can do is like, you know, find comfort with it, find peace with it. But other than that, obviously other people's responses are ridiculously, you know, you can't find
control them,
Yeah,
or
you can't
even
control
guess,
them.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yep.
that was interesting, but yeah, so as much as, I mean, because we had a lot of conversations, I mean, you guys had lots of conversations and everything, and
Yeah, it was really interesting. It's a very unique experience coming out, which, like, part of me, like, you know, how am I saying this? It's a very unique experience, and, you know, obviously, I knew that going in, you know, like, people talk about that, but it just was not what I expected at all. I think, one, a lot of things that happen, like, a lot of, like, feelings and whatever, I've just never heard people talk about, but also, like Kaeli said, you just can't prepare for it. Like, you know, I found this with having all the conversations, like, individual conversations that I had before this episode came out, and then after this episode came out as well, just being like, wow, like, it's just so different than I had anticipated.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, because, like we talked last week, we grew up in the church, we grew up, around these people, you know, I've been hearing at the dinner table, at, you know, church on Sunday, you know, at friends' houses my whole life, their response to gay people. I know the response. I know it well. And, you know, I've been having debates with people about it since I was, like, 12 years old. Like, I was well aware of what people say. But when it's to you, it's like, oh my gosh. And I think the thing is, too, that, for me, I think I gave some people too much credit and some people not enough credit. Yeah. As in, I guess in my head it just felt like, I know that, you know, these beliefs are their beliefs and they're not going to change, but I think in my head I was like, okay, yeah, they react badly to other people coming out, but I'm like, but they've known me since I was a baby, or, you know, we used to be friends when I was a kid, or, you know, I've told them, like, they know so much about me, like, they know me, and I think I was expecting, I knew it wouldn't happen, and I don't think I was consciously thinking it, but I think I did think that, like, you know, it'll be different because it's us, and, you know, how could they say this stuff about us, the people that they know? You know, I'm not some person on TV coming out. I'm like, I know you know me. Especially the people that knew me, like, as a kid and have known me since I was a kid. Not having a good response was like, I think I expected more, and I didn't mean to. But in my head I was like, but it's us, like, you know.
Yeah, I I found the same thing, which I didn't consciously do this. Like, I realized this after a couple of the conversations that I had as well. And then, again, like, after this week, where unconsciously, like, in the back of my head, there was a piece of me that was like, okay, first, I went into this expecting that a lot of people were going to have bad responses. Because we came from a very religious background, and at least for me, like, a lot of the people on my social media are very religious. And so I was expecting that. I know all the responses, whatever. But like I said, like, there was definitely a piece there that I was like, they can't do this. Like what Kaeli was saying, that, you know, maybe it'll be different for me. I have to say there were, like, some pleasantly, like, surprising responses too as well. But yeah, with the bad ones, like, it was, yeah, like, my expectations were met, but it was, like, disappointing.
Yeah, like, you expected it, but I feel like there was just a piece hoping that, like, it would be different, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, but there were also a lot of, like, amazing people that reached out and was like, we fully support this and we're proud of you, and that, like, meant the world.
Yeah.
And that also surprised me too. So
You guys said that.
kind of on either side, it was like I didn't expect anything correctly, pretty much.
Well, that's one thing when we were talking, we were like, it was kind of like a 50-50 draw.
Yeah.
Kind of as, like, it was one thing that we really couldn't guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few people, yes, we definitely knew.
They were like, yeah.
But the majority really was like, it was a shock getting the messages, you know, from, which, I mean, we're not going to get into specifics of responses tonight, but, you know, like, you know, shock to me was, like, some people that barely even know messaging.
Yeah.
And then, but then other people that, you know, like, sort of made, but it was sort of a 50-50. Like, we talked about that, kind of like, you just didn't know
Well, because there were even people that were, like, like, are, like, they are, like, liberals. They vote for, you know, these rights that we talk about, like, you know, the queer community. They speak out again, they speak out for, you know, the queer community, and they talk about it and stuff. But there's still a piece of, like, but are they? Because I think I think we talked about this last week about how, like, I think for some people it's different when it's, like, someone you know. Like, it's different when it's your kid, when it's your relative, when it's your friend, rather than just, like, some strangers on the internet. And so even when I was like, oh yeah, they'll fully be supportive, hearing it was, like, needed, because there was still, like, but I don't know. And it was funny, it was, like, for a couple days we were literally just, like, sitting around like, every day being like, has this person responded, responded, or, like, what did they say, and, like, kind of dissecting, like, you know, every response, even if that was no response.
Well, because that was something else that I think we had this to talk about a little bit later, but, like, the reality of, but one of the things is that the message, but there also was a massive silence.
Yes.
That was part of the responses, but it was a massive silence, which silence can speak volumes sometimes. And, you know, again, we'll get more into it when we talk about the responses, but, you know, just that reality of...
Well, I think the thing that people may not realize, that, like, if you're not religious, not from, like, religious communities. Specifically in the community we grew up in, on social media, everything means something.
Yeah.
And so to like something, to comment something, to share something, like, everything is, like, a different level of agreement, and everything is a very serious, like, serious thing.
Yeah.
And so for these people to be silent is saying something.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I don't want to say, like, people needed to respond. People didn't need to respond. I actually didn't really necessarily want people to respond. But it says something when, in the past, certain people respond to things,
Yeah.
and then they all of a sudden don't do anything.
Yeah.
It says something.
And now, I mean, we totally get to how algorithms work. And
Yeah.
you can see.
Yeah.
However,
There were definitely people that we were like, it
There's-
is a purposeful
Right.
silence, which
Yeah.
I think is what, which is I think that's why the responses did mean so much, because that was something we've been talking about a lot, is just like how much the like verbal support meant. Like the messages that I wasn't expecting to get, the comments, like anything, meant a lot. Even if I knew someone was supportive, and even if it's just like this, I don't know, because you know that when you come out now, there's a lot of people that are, I don't want to say against you, but sort of against you.
Yeah.
And so to hear, like, I'm proud of you, and I know this was hard, and I support you, and whatever, is really big, and I didn't expect it to mean so much.
and actually that just made me think, because I've seen a lot posted, especially right now with Pride Month, is that even just like, hey, putting your pronouns in your
In your bio.
bio,
Yeah.
and that, like, because it just tells someone that you're safe and whatever. And I just thought that, yeah, because, and maybe, I mean, you guys would have to confirm this, but, like, to me, what I just heard was, like, by someone reaching out and saying, hey, thanks for sharing that, good on you, like, whatever it was, is, you know then who's safe and who's not safe. And unfortunately, in our world, as progressive as we think it is, as democratic we think it is, as safe as we think we are in Canada, I mean, I think it's just absolutely naive in your head in the sand if you actually believe that we are, because of especially this last year and how, like, the movements and stuff that we've seen bring light to subjects and stuff like this, of how people are still so oppressed and such. And so what I just heard too was, like, you know, that when someone reached out, it's, you actually then, okay, so I'm safe with that person now.
And it also feels like, kind of like, I'm in your corner. Like,
Yes.
you know, like, I know that a lot of people don't support this, but I do, and I'm here. And, like, I know there were a couple people that were like, just tag me, I'll fight them. You know? And that was, like, literally, like, almost made me cry, because that's, like, you know, not that we need to fight anybody. But just like, I don't know, I think that meant a lot, was because I was like, I know that there are a lot of people that aren't in my corner now. And so, for someone to be like, I got your back in this, is, like, that meant a lot.
Yeah, that was something that I definitely wasn't expecting going in. You know, as I've talked, like, I don't generally talk very personal with other people. I keep things very private, and I don't like attention. And so, going into this, like, I wasn't really looking forward to responses, good or bad. It makes me feel anxious. But I have to say, like, the good responses that came, like, really were impactful. Especially, like, some of them came from people that I haven't talked to in years. Some people, like, that, you know, like, not even close to anymore. And it was just like it was
Yeah.
just nice to know, like Kaeli was saying, doing this, especially like from the community that we came from, we knew that a lot of people would be upset about this.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice to know that there were some people that were still there.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to say with this too is that, like, no matter how upsetting at times or no matter how much emotion there was over the last week, there was never questioning. You know, like, no matter however many, like, bad responses we got from, like, people close to us, it was never like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I, like, shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't have told them. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. It's like, I don't know how to explain this. It's hurtful and it's upsetting, but I'm still good. And I'm still happy to do it.
Well, of course it hurts when someone literally says, like, you're going to hell, or you're disgusting, or, you know, maybe you should just be forever alone because you don't, you know, who you love is disgusting. Yeah, that hurts a little. It does hurt a little bit.
Just a little.
And I think you have every right to be hurt by that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think before we even, like, talk more about the responses, it is really important to say that, like, yeah, like, and I think I said this last time too, of how, like, you're not going to change my mind.
No.
Like, I've done years of reading, years of research, years of just, like, searching within myself and within this world, and, like,
between you and God. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that you guys have talked a lot about.
Yeah.
yeah.
And, you know, to me, like, I mean, I've thought of different times of even just saying that out, and I was like, that's no one else's business. Like, that shouldn't be like, this isn't a, like, prove to me, prove to the world, like, whatever. Like, no, like, this is about you and your journey. This is about you and your journey.
Yeah.
You and your journey. Me and my, like.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I just, like, you're not going to change our minds.
Well,
I'm sorry, like, you're not going to make me believe that, like, you're right, we are going to hell, like, but,
yeah. Well, and I know that was something that you were saying earlier when we were talking about, you know, we only really got, so far anyways, like, 4 negative comments.
Yes.
However, we already talked about the silence.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, it's been our whole lives in this
like,
world.
Like,
We
know.
Yeah.
We're
all
not,
the conversations that are going on. We know who, like, who's talking to who, and, you know, oh my goodness, did you hear that? Like,
which is the weirdest thing to think about, that, like, there are people, like, debating our, what, humanity sometimes? Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely wanted to talk about, because, like, there's a few things that have just, like, fried my brain over the last week that it's just made it difficult, sort of, at times to deal with. And one of those is that, like, you know, these people that, you know, sent us the bad messages, also just, you know, were silent, are talking about me and this piece of me and, like, debating whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
And it just is like, this is about me. Like, me deciding, first of all, this is something I want to talk about in the future. It is not a decision. Your sexuality is not a decision. I want to go into that further on another episode, because it really irritates me so much when people are like, well, you just decided. Literally, it is not a decision.
Why would you make
a decision to like actually go with that and, like, be who you are? But, like, it is not a decision who you're attracted to at all.
The thing that got me was, and I think it was you that asked me, because I mean, I was just saying the same rhetoric as, like, that just is told and stuff over the years. And I think it was you that said to me, and you're like, well, at what point did you decide you liked guys?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I just did.
Yeah.
Like, it was never a thought in my head, I'm going to like guys. I do like guys. Like, it was never a thought. And that is what just totally blew my mind with this whole thing. Because, I mean, I had repeated the same stuff that everyone does. There seems to, especially in the religious community, of, like, you know, it's a decision. Like, you can choose all these, you know.
Yeah.
And that, like, hit me. I was like, yeah, so, like, if I never thought about it and decided, why would I think anyone else would be different?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Well, okay, so go back to the other thing. I think we were talking about, what were we talking about? So I was saying something and then I got off track on the choosing.
We always do.
I know. How people, like, debate it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like, it's really disheartening, and that's another thing I didn't expect to really think about, of, like, it's just so upsetting that people that I don't know, but then also people that I know really well, are in their homes with their children, with their friends at church. I mean, again, we have been in all these circles. We know how it works,
like, we're not
to be in a church when someone comes out.
Like, we're not trying to be
everyone finds out.
Like, we're not trying to be like, oh my gosh, like, everyone's talking about
No.
it. But I'm like, no, like, you don't understand. Like, there were, like, the
We've been
second
there.
someone comes out at church, you're messaging everybody,
Yep.
and everyone's going, did you hear? Like, and you're
This
talking
is
about
how
it
it works.
Sunday morning, and it's this
Mhm.
whole, like, it's a scandal.
Yeah, it is.
Which is kind of exciting. Our first scandal!
So exciting. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it,
There's
but
like another
it's just
whole
upsetting.
piece of that about
There's just so,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
so,
gossip
there's just
and
so
all
many
that, but
pieces
anyways,
to
but-
this.
Yeah, literally.
That we could talk about.
So I know another reality that you guys talked about was the fact of me getting messages.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so this was...
Which I knew, and that's something that I'm definitely going to talk about in the episode that we do about for parents and such, is all that, because that's another thing that in the religious communities and stuff, parents are held responsible for their children.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know in the world it's like you're responsible for your kids. It's just different
It is
in the
totally
religious
different.
circles. It is totally different. And so, you know, we will talk about that. I was fully expecting to get messages. I knew I would. I think I got way more messages than you guys got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I know that was something that you guys, that really upset you.
Yeah, like, the thing with this, which, again, I knew this going in, because
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like we said, in the religious communities, parents are, like, have this responsibility over their children. And so, you know, I was expecting this, but, you know, actually experiencing it, where I did not get any negative responses, like, toward, like, any sent to me. They were all sent to you. And we talked about them, which I'm glad. I want to know. The thing that, like, there's so many things. One, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
We are both adults.
Yeah.
So it is very inappropriate, I think, to be messaging my mom
Yeah.
about me deciding to come out.
Right. Like, how about you just like
Like,
talk to us?
yeah.
Like, you can come and message us if you want to, like, trash talk our decisions or whatever.
Yeah, quote unquote decisions.
Like,
I think the other thing, like, I know we're going to talk about the responses in another episode. The thing with these these messages were, one, they were questioning us. Like, that we shouldn't have done that, we are sinning, we're going to go to hell, all this stuff.
yeah.
There was another piece to it of questioning, like, the parents' role, which, fair. If you want to mess it, like, I think it's totally inappropriate, but, like, that is more appropriate to message our mom and say that you don't think you question her in this.
Yeah.
That I was not a good parent.
Yes.
Or whatever, yeah.
The other thing that just makes me unbelievably angry is that people were messaging, trying to convince her
Yes!
not to support us.
And I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, what do you want her to do? You want her to kick us out?
Yeah.
You want her to, like, excommunicate us? Like, what are you trying to get her to do? Because by being like, you're a terrible mother if you're accepting them. Okay, so what's the alternative?
Yeah.
You want her to, like, kick us out? Because that sounds like a terrible mother. Kicking your children out for no reason? I was just like, so what are you trying to get out of here? Like, what are you trying to say?
Well, I know, and that was one of the things that, like, I mean, the messages that were positive and affirming were amazing. And sincerely, we want to thank every single person who sent an affirming message. No matter how short it was or how long it was or, you know, whatever. But, like, we literally got, like, 10 times, 10 or 12, 15 times of messages affirming and positive as we did the negative, and which is amazing. And we sincerely appreciate it. Like, honestly, I'm pretty sure in one way or we've responded to everyone. But, you know, like, the ones that affirmed, you know, like, hey, like, I'm just so amazed that you're supporting your girls. I'm so shocked. I'm, like, so glad to hear that. I was like, that really made me sad, though.
Yeah.
That these people were actually shocked. Like, to me, and we'll go into it later, but, like, if I could speak to the religious community for a minute, that is so sad. That people would actually be shocked because I come from such a religious background that I would support my kids. Like, that, honestly, I think I feel disgust, if I have to put an emotion to it. That disgusts me.
Yeah.
That people were actually shocked into the religious community. I'm like, that speaks volumes, and that shouldn't be that way. That is just so sad to me.
Yeah.
Like, that is what a parent does.
Yeah.
Or should do.
Yeah.
And I know all of the arguments that are going to come after that, so you don't need to worry about messaging me all of them about
We know
tough
them.
love and everything
We know
like that.
them. You don't have to tell us.
I know all of them.
Please.
But, yeah, like that. But we do sincerely appreciate all those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
It really...
yeah.
I didn't, fully understand it until now. And again, this is coming from someone who doesn't really like attention or whatever. It really means a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and I think this is something that I'm going to try to do going forward too, is just to reach out in these, like, situations, because it means so much.
Yeah. 100%.
I know another thing that you had talked about, Erika, and that affecting you was that how it's affecting you is realizing how it's affecting those around you.
Yeah, like, it's just, it's a weird situation to be in a religious community, because me deciding to come out means that our mom gets messages, means that, certain family in the church are probably going to have comments made, have, stuff like this, and that's going to affect them. And I think there's a couple different issues with this. One, it's upsetting that me being me is hurting other people. It's just really upsetting.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that, like, I don't know how to explain this. It's that, I don't know, at times I've felt like I can't even be upset about it. Because it's like a weird thing of these people, like our mom, other people, are getting these comments, these messages, whatever. And part of it is directed towards them, but a big part of it is directed towards us. Because they're upset that we believe this and we are coming out and we are gay.
We're standing together on this.
Yeah, and so it's like, even though those messages aren't directed to, like, they're not sent to me, it is so upsetting, and And part of it is, like, I don't know, I just feel like I can't even be upset about it because, well, these people didn't message me.
Right.
You know, and it's just this weird, like...
Yeah, it's like behind the scenes fighting, kind of, that's about you, so you can't even address it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, like, what are you going to do? Go message those people and, hey, like, you sent my mom a message and it was pretty rude and whatever, but, yeah, that's so weird.
Well, that's the thing with all of this, is that it's, like, it's so bittersweet, all of this. Because, and Erika and I have talked about this quite a bit, you know, before we came out, there was a lot of excitement. And, you know, obviously I came out like quite a while before, you know, Erika did, but, I think there was still a part of me that was, like, learning to accept it. Yeah. But, like, man, like, it was a really exciting thing. And even in our house, it was a very exciting thing. Like, when we got to tell, like, our mom and, like, our younger siblings especially was so funny. They were like, yes! And it was, like, it was just so fun and it was so freeing of, like, it just felt like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then coming out to everyone, and then it's like, man, like, you realize that, like, oh, like, there's a bunch of people who now look at me differently, which is, I think, what I was most scared of. And, like, even when I was, like, I remember when I told Erika, I was like, I just don't want you to, like, look at me differently. Because it just scared me so much. And now, you know, it's just something that we have to live with now, of knowing that, like, there are a ton of people who now see us differently than we are because gay, like,
because of who you are as a person, which is it's like deciding that someone doesn't like you because you have brown hair or blue eyes.
Yeah, like, it's
like, well, I just don't like anyone with blue eyes. Like,
and I feel like, and because they don't like that piece of us, it's also now, like, they have, you know, an image of what that looks like, of what being gay looks like. And now that's kind of projected onto us, and now, you know, we're not just Kaeli, we're not just Erika, we're like sinners. And I mean, they say we're always sinners, but whatever. You get, you know,
especially sinners
now we're special sinners, and now we're you know, discussing it. Now we're pushing an agenda, and now we can't be around kids, and now we like whatever and all this stuff, and like, as much as I don't want it to hurt, because I think there's a time to be like, screw you, I don't care what you think, and to a point I don't care what anyone thinks. But there also is a piece that, like, that's, like, that sucks. Like, it hurts that there are people who think I'm, like, disgusting now because of this, and who now see me differently. And so it's just really bittersweet, and I feel like it's, you know, and I'm sure it will get better, but it definitely was, like, a bit of a hit to the excitement of, you know, these realizations just coming out, just whatever.
Yeah, I think, like, it's I've been thinking a lot about it, and there was, like, a part in a movie that we watched, like, a long time ago, and this kid comes out, and his mom, like, talks to him, and she's like, I don't remember the saying, it's something about, like, how she was like, it was like you were holding your breath for, like, so many years.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then now you can finally breathe. And I've been thinking all about that over the last, like, I don't know, a couple months, however long this has been. And that's how it feels.
And I have to say, I've seen that in you.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
Definitely.
That's fine.
Like, it'd be interesting to, because I know there was a couple people, one in particular, that messaged and said, like, oh my goodness, I can see such a difference in you specifically from the beginning episodes, because they followed all along with us, and to now. And that was one of the things that, like, I said to a couple friends of mine. I was like I said, you wouldn't believe, like, you know, just the joy and the peace that I see and I feel is, like, amazing. And then to have people tell me that I'm wrong and I should be taking that away from my child is, and I know that goes in a different direction, but, like, just like that peace and that just, like, holding the breath and just, like, and that shouldn't be.
Yeah, like, that's exactly where I was going with it, actually, is that, like, I feel that, and by no means does this, like, fix all the problems, and, like, you know, a lot of people like to, you know, latch on to stuff and be like, oh, well, now all your problems are solved. No, by no means are all my problems solved.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can breathe again. And it's upsetting, like Kaeli was saying before this, it was like we were just excited and happy and whatever. And yes, I'm, like, again, it's not like this is being questioned or, oh, maybe, like, whatever. It just dampens it of, like, wow, this is, like, this feels so true and so right, and I feel so much peace about it. And then to have people who don't even know me come and be like, this is bad, this is wrong, you're gross. And it's like, wow.
Right? Like, that was one thing that, like, we've heard quite a bit is, like, people being like, you know, you could just, like, stay single forever. Or, you know, you could just marry a man. Like, maybe you have these feelings, but you could just marry a man anyways. And, like, and it's, like, to me, that's, like, literally the most evil thing I can think of. Like, how could you say that? Like, imagine I said that to you, like, a straight, like, I was like, how about you just, like, you know, just never date. Just never, divorce your husband. Divorce him and never be with anyone ever again. How terrible. Like, that is wishing such a terrible thing on someone. And for it to be like, we're saving you. Like, you're taking this, like, very, like, beautiful thing, and, like, especially, you know, like, I do see that in you and that peace, and, like, to try and be like, well, you should just ignore it because it's a bad thing is, like, what? Like, that to me is, like, there's something so wrong, and it just feels like evil. Like, it feels so wrong.
And that's where, like, we also totally understand the whole stance of, well, it's a sin, which we are going to be dealing with in a future episode, because that was sort of a huge realization for me over this last while, is that in the religious communities, we're not speaking the same language. But I'm working on putting this together because I really want to make sure it comes out properly and comes out really clear. But there's definitely like a direction that we're going to go there with that whole side of things, because and addressing people that just have that whole, well, we just believe it's a sin. Like, we are going to address that as well. And I'm working on how to do that to make sure it comes out very clearly in putting my thoughts together, because sometimes it makes sense all in my head, and then to get it out is, like, a little bit different. So, but I mean, like, our conversations and stuff have been great, but I think the biggest thing for both of you, because I mean, even though you are, you know, you'll be on stage and like that, you still have a very private part to you, though. Like, there is that whole piece of that privacy that I think a lot of people miss, because they're like, well, you sing on stage, like, you get in front of thousands of people and you have no problem talking and whatever. And it's like, but there is a huge difference in how you're going to talk and what you're going to talk about on a stage of a few thousand people versus
Totally.
like this is something so personal for both of you
Yeah.
that and honestly like I just like I couldn't be more proud of either one of you. Like seriously, just like I don't know. And I mean, okay, I don't want to get in. I shouldn't make this about me because it's not. We're not doing the parent
no.
episode.
I like
Because-
Yeah. Okay, Kaylee. Great. Just go on. Keep talking about Kaylee.
She needs her ego boosted. I always need my ego boosted.
Oh, and the Yorker's accent's coming out.
There we go.
Let's
my
keep boosting a
gosh.
little more, and then we'll get to here.
Oh my god.
But I just think, like, as a parent, I mean, all I've ever wanted is you guys to be you.
Mm-hmm.
And to be free to be you, and to express yourself as you, as your authentic and vulnerable selves.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, honestly, there's a piece of me that was sad hearing your guys' stories and knowing that it's like you had to hide, like you didn't even know you were hiding, but you were hiding for how many years.
Mm-hmm.
And just like it takes so much courage, especially in this world, and especially the world we came from and in and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like I there's nothing that could make me more proud except for just to be authentically you and vulnerable in that space. And I know it comes with a price.
Yeah.
I know it does.
Mm-hmm.
But the other comes with a price too.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've thought about that, like that price that you're talking about before, like over the last while, and again, like I've thought about all of this for the last few years, you know, but it's very different when it's you, and you know, you hear, like we were talking about before, Christians talk about how, well, you could just live with it, you could just like go against it,
Yeah.
and it's like, you really don't understand the
Mhm.
cost that you're asking people to pay when you say this stuff like that. But yeah, with what you were saying about privacy, that's something I've thought a lot about, where, yeah, like, I don't generally, I've already said this on here, I don't generally talk about personal things with, like, anyone. And I didn't expect this from this. I think, you know, when I heard about people coming out before this happened, I'd be like, that's so exciting, that's great. But I didn't realize how personal it is.
Yeah.
And not only the coming out thing, like how personal talking about that story is.
Yeah.
You know, because when
Yep.
people come out, you're not just like, oh, this is who I am, this is who I love. You're not just expressing this thing. Also, like, I can't say everyone, but I would say probably most people that are coming out, there's struggle behind there. There's something that there's something that wasn't probably the best to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it's like, you know, talking about your coming out story is so personal. Like, I've thought about this over the last week where it's like, I have to force myself not to sometimes. Because I get so overwhelmed with the fact that, like, oh my God, people know this stuff. That, like,
Right.
Yeah.
literally, if someone had told me we'd be talking about this, like, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I would not have believed
Yeah.
I would do everything in my power to make this not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're
You
almost
know?
expected and
Yeah.
like you're almost expected and almost obligated to share like all the dark
Yeah.
parts of this journey. And like I don't know, it's weird. It's like almost people are like, okay, so tell me everything.
Yeah.
Like strangers. And it's just weird because I'm like, I feel like we don't do that with other things, but it's like you almost have to like prove yourself to
Yeah.
people. of like, okay, like I'm serious. Like I'm seriously, you know, gay, and you have to show every struggle you've ever had that led you to this, and show the whole story, and like bare your soul. And like I think it's fine if you want to bare your soul, and you know, obviously that's why we're talking about this,
because we did that.
But it's like, yeah, it's definitely weird how it's like this expectation of like, okay, so now tell me every struggle that's led you to this. Like, that's a big ask, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. You know, like even just, I mean, looking back at, I mean, what we've only been doing this podcast for a few months, really. And just even then from when we started, you know, like we had said then, like we had kind of planned out, like then, you know, till summer sort of thing is where, and, you know, this isn't at all where we thought we might be going.
Yeah.
Yet, even at that point, like we knew that this was so important that we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And now it's just been made so much more personal.
Yeah.
And honestly, the people that have reached out, and we've had so many, and that are like, you know, please, like we want to hear this. You know, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this you're talking about this, and I'm so glad. And I'm like, okay, like we will talk about all of this. And you know, I guess so. Is there any other things you guys wanted to talk about? We did get through, I think, everything that we had talked about wanting to get through this time, but on the paper. But was there anything else you guys wanted to
I don't know.
say before?
I think I would just say that, like, just to kind of sum up what I've said at least, is again that, like, to people coming out, you really just can't prepare, and like I think the other thing too is like no matter how exciting it is and how proud, it kind of sucks. Like part of it sucks. And I wish that wasn't true, and like part of me through this has been like, well, it's pride. It like, you know, I should be excited and happy and whatever, and I am, but there is also a piece of like it kind of sucks. I think too, like religious people and to like families and whatever, just to realize how hard it is to talk about this kind of stuff and how impactful your words are.
Yeah. 100%.
Whether they're good or bad, you are making a difference. Or silent. Like all of your responses mean something.
Yeah.
And I just like, I really hope that, you know, as we keep progressing and keep going through, people can just have more understanding.
Totally.
Well, and I think we can just take it too, and I think I should go back and look and see. This is probably almost every episode now.
I think so.
Is we get to this place of accept first.
Yeah.
Then you can seek to understand, but just accept.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just accept people, and
Yeah.
and you know what some people think is accepting, which we'll get into when we talk about the religious, when we do our religious episode. It is not accepting.
No, it's
and
really not.
So just accept, and that's for any area, any topic that someone talks about, anything. It's just accept people in where they are at and who they are. And you know, our world would be a lot better that way, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm excited to keep talking about this. I think we're gonna be doing an episode talking about to our faith and how you know, how we have stayed, you know, we didn't leave faith, but how it's evolved and how it's changed, and also, you know, the responses and everything, and there's so many parts of this to talk about, and I'm really excited to talk about it, and I'm really like grateful for anyone who listens, and you know, whether you disagree with us and you're listening, or whether you agree with us and you're listening, or listening, you know, with someone who disagrees. Yeah, I think we just hope that like you can see that like we're just people, and we just want to want to talk, and we just want to share this. And we're not. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all I got.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're good for now. And you know, again, we have lots more planned. If you have any questions or any ideas or anything you want to know about, hear about, anything, I don't know, can we just say, like, we don't want to hear anything negative, but, you know, I mean, well, we can say constructive criticism, I don't know, if you have questions or anything, like, really, like, it's not that no one can message, like, we totally will have the conversations, it's not
I
that
think especially
we won't.
questions
like, we definitely,
are welcome.
Yeah.
Definitely questions and searching to understand, searching to whatever, that's totally, like, encouraged, and, you know, we'd love to talk, and
attacking anything attacking our character and who we are as a person, we won't be engaging.
And that's not a conversation, by the way, if anyone's wondering, just saying, you're disgusting, that's...
Had to end a conversation that way because of that. But, we just, like, we do sincerely appreciate everyone. We appreciate being able to, like, we love having these conversations.
Yeah.
So, but, okay, Jillian, where can they find us? We forgot this last week, so.
On Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and other streaming platforms.
Yeah.
And it's the official WWP.
Yes. So.
All right, see you next week on... Wait, what? I brought out the New York a little bit. I just got a little sprinkle in there at the end.